My name is Kristen, and this is Kevin.
Hello.
And we are here from K2 Adventures Foundation. And first, we would like to thank you so much for having us here today. Unfortunately, we could not be with you because that would be our first priority, would be to be here. But right now, we are actually in Nepal, and we are traveling in Nepal, and we are actually working in an orphanage right now doing some community service. So a huge thank you to Dr. Petra Burgo for having us here today, and to the entire class for listening to our great presentation about K2 Adventures Foundation. We have a great overview for you today. The overview is going to go through all the things that K2 Adventures Foundation is and all the things that K2 Adventures Foundation is planning on doing in the future and where we would like to be. And of course, incorporating your class and how your class can help us in pursuing our mission and making it even better. So a little bit about me. My name is Kristen Sandquist. I have been in the nonprofit world for about 20 years. We have a local division, which is here in Arizona, and also a national division, which is in the United States. And then we also work internationally, so that we never have to be in a situation where we can't do some of the work that we would like to do for those with disabilities. And Kevin?
Yeah, my name's Kevin Sherrill. I'm the president of K2 Adventures Foundation. I've been involved with the nonprofit world just for the past 5 years when I met Kristen. And for really the past 15 years, I've been involved with having my climbing teams that have traveled around the world be involved with helping children or people with a disability in the countries that we go and climb. And when I met Kristen 5 years ago and invited her to be on a team that led 8 blind people up Mount Kilimanjaro, when we came home from that climb, that's truly what inspired us to do K2 Adventures Foundation together.
So the common theme here is working with individuals with disabilities, and that leads us right into our mission statement. Our mission statement is to care for children, adults, and families with special needs and life-changing medical circumstances by providing services, support, and funds that will be used for educational and medical enrichment. So what that means in a nutshell is, there are a lot of individuals out there that are dealing with disabilities, and those disabilities range in size and shape and color, and those disabilities are things that we can see right in front of us, and those are disabilities that we can't necessarily see. But one common theme is that those facing disabilities are a lot of times working with insurance companies that don't provide them with adaptive equipment or different things to help their lives a little bit easier. And that's something that K2 Adventures Foundation has been very focused on, and that's what our goal is to help individuals with disabilities that need a little extra assistance. So that leads us into why we're here today and talking to you guys. What we do, our national children and families that have benefited from our services, we've worked with individuals in the United States as well as programs in the United States. And working with individuals is wonderful because you get to see personally exactly how that individual has been affected by some of the things that we've done. And working with programs is wonderful because when you work with a program, you get to help a much broader and wider spectrum. So for us, we wanted to be able to look at a national group of people and say, this is what we do. So an example would be working with horse therapy programs. We have a number of individuals that have disabilities, that have needed assistance, and that have wanted to be part of a horse therapy program. So we provided a funding for a camp, an outdoors activities camp for these individuals with cerebral palsy, muscular dystrophy, and some different paralysis to be able to participate in an outdoor adventure program working with horses. And then we've had individual recipients that have needed adaptive equipment, things that would be very important to them that the insurance companies would say, absolutely not, it's not covered under insurance. But for us, we said, but it would make their life better and they would enjoy their life a little bit more. So we've provided adaptive surfboards for those that have wanted to surf. We had a woman who had lost her leg completely. We've had children that are paralyzed from the waist down. We've had adaptive sport bikes built and wheelchairs built in different programs in order to help those kids. Then we have our international program. Our international program is an opportunity for us when we travel. We can go to different areas of the world. When we're in those different areas of the world, we have people that say to us all the time, here we are on this great trip, what can we do to help the local community? as every one of you here are aware, disability doesn't stay just here in the United States. It's all over. So we go to Africa, where we were introduced to this beautiful school with 74 kids that are blind, albinos, or with a disease called ectoderma pigmentosa. We have an opportunity to provide those kids with medical care, dental care, goods and services. Up to this point, we've been able together for 5 years, been able to provide about $1.5 million worth of goods and services to this particular orphanage in Africa through our different grant programs and our different in-kind opportunities. So that kind of tells you a little bit about what we do. The next slide actually takes us into how we raise our money. Biggest question everybody always asks us, how do you raise your money? Where does it come from? Well, the most important thing for us is obviously our donors. Support from our local donors is fantastic, but what happens is the amount of funding we get from our local donors is not enough for us to sustain everything that we're doing. Event sponsorships and hosting events, that gives people an opportunity to be a sponsor at one of our events. They get to have their name up in lights, they get to be a sponsor, and we get to raise money. We do 2 big events a year. We do a big fall fundraiser and a big spring fundraiser. But again, those are opportunities for us to raise funds, but never is it ever going to be enough for us to sustain everything that we want to do. And then the local fundraising opportunities, those are opportunities for individuals that just want to get involved with us and work with us and be a part of us. But this is where you guys come in. This is something that we haven't tapped into yet, which is actually applying for grants. Grants that would actually help our nonprofit grow to the levels that would be bigger, grander, and that we would never have to turn an application down. Right here, we talk about a little bit about the grant program. Kevin and I are gonna switch it up a little bit. I'm gonna talk about a little bit with the individual programs here in the United States. Kevin's gonna take the international side. So something that you guys can help us with. This is where we say, basically, a class like this can go out and look at our mission statement and say, from a grant perspective, we're looking for funds that would go into a general account. Those funds that go into a general account are now going to be distributed to individuals with disabilities. How those funds are going to be distributed is going to be based on applications that come in to K2 Adventures Foundation. We have an incredible group of people on our board that is called the Application and Grants Committee. That group works together so that what we do is we meet every quarter, and during that quarter, we look at all of the grants that come in and applications that come in, and we decide, do we have enough money in the account to fund this? Is it in our mission statement, and is it something that we're able to help this person's life get a little bit better? And right now, a couple examples would be that we have a beautiful woman with MS. This woman has attended our events. This woman has been part of K2 Adventures Foundation for the last 5 years. She's wonderful, and as the last 5 years have gone on, we've seen a significant change in her. Her body is getting slower, her muscles are deteriorating, and she has been granted a therapy dog. That therapy dog came from a Power Paws program. They gave her the dog, but they didn't give her the equipment that goes with the dog. So this woman has sent an application into K2 Adventures Foundation asking for our assistance with the adaptive equipment that will help her with her dog. It's approximately a $700 grant that we would give her to buy the harness that would help her get from her wheelchair, out of her wheelchair, and assisted by her dog to take her to the different places inside of her home. That's one example. We have an 11-year-old boy with cerebral palsy that wants an adaptive bicycle. Every little boy at 11 years old wants a bicycle. They just want to be able to ride a bike, be out with their friends, have fun, and just feel like one of the kids. And this little boy can't do that because he doesn't have a bicycle. He's asked for an adaptive bicycle that will help him with his cerebral palsy. It has a 5-point safety harness, and it's about a $1,300 bicycle. And most families are not able to afford a luxury like this. We have an 11-year-old little boy with Down syndrome, and he would like cork orthotics. Those cork orthotics will actually help him with his movement and his placement with his feet. It'll help him so that he's able to walk better. It'll help him so that his legs won't be bow-legged. It's a great adaptive piece of equipment, but again, not covered by insurance. Different types of orthotics are covered, but not these specific cork orthotics. And as you know, an 11-year-old boy is going to grow, and every year his feet are going to change, and every year that $600 is going to take on a very big chunk of their parents' income. So they've asked us to provide those cork orthotics. And the last one I'll talk about is a program right now that we're looking at. It's called Little Hooves and Big Hearts. And Little Hooves and Big Hearts is right here in Arizona. It's a beautiful program. It's going to actually, if we're able to provide this carriage will actually incorporate about 50 individuals with disabilities in a small town in Tucson to be able to get therapy through riding horses in a carriage because their bodies can't physically sit on a horse. So they hook a carriage up to the horse then pulls them around the arena, and their bodies adjust by being safety strapped into a 5-point safety harness. So these are some of the different things that our individual grants will help. So when you're out looking for how to help fund a grant for us, if you look at it from the perspective of K2 Adventures Foundation as a whole, you then can apply, hopefully, by looking at us as a whole and knowing that the money that comes in for these individuals with disabilities will then be turned around to help very similar applications like the ones that we have open right now that we have not fulfilled. So that hopefully gives you a little information about our individual grants and our local grants, and then Kevin now is going to talk about some things we're doing in Africa and some different international grants we're looking for.
Yeah, 3 great projects that we would like you to look into have to deal with the Moerni Integrated School for the Blind. And again, 5 years ago we started working at that school, and Kristen and I made it a goal that whatever programs that we started there, eventually we wanted them to be self-sustainable so they could create their own income to take care of all the costs that we are giving them on a monthly or quarterly basis. For example, at the school right now, they have 8 acres of land, and the majority of that land is what they've turned into a garden. 3 years ago, K2 Adventures Foundation gave them a $3,000 grant. What we did was we provided irrigation to the fields, and they are now able to grow tomatoes, corn, other vegetables that they could eat at the school, along with growing avocado trees and banana trees. So that is now a program that's self-sustainable. They're selling the tomatoes to make a profit, and they're able to increase the size of their garden. Couple of the big projects that we have with them, the biggest one is providing them with a tractor, a plow, a trailer to move materials around the campus, and that's an example of a $42,000 grant that we would help them with. Another one is the fish or tilapia farm that we want to produce at their school. The fish will provide many things for them: protein, nourishment that they need. The fish afterwards can be used as fertilizer for the fields. So that's another example. That project is about $9,000. And then finally we have the poultry one with the chickens, and providing chicken coops on the campus. They can eat the chicken for nourishment, they can eat the eggs, and then they can also turn around as that program builds, and we can sell those eggs and sell the chicken again to make money for the school. And that's a $12,000 project. So you can see from what Kristen mentioned with the individual grants that we received, those 4 is about $15,000. And that, again, that pot would just continue to grow as we receive applications. And then these are specific projects, again, a little larger in cost, but eventually will help the school become more self-sustainable.
Okay, so going on to the next slide. One of the great things about this is the award process. How it works. If the money's in the account and we have an application that we've received from someone that is a deserving applicant, which means that they fall underneath our mission statement, they have been declined by their insurance, the adaptive equipment truly is something that would make their life better and give them an opportunity to thrive. We're going to do everything in our power to grant that wish, and that's something for us that we don't ever want to turn a grant away or an application away. And again, that's kind of where you guys come in. We all review it by our board of directors. The committee members own their case. So what happens is I am part of the application and grant committee, and I meet with 5 other board members, and we take all the applications, and we do this quarterly. We look at all the applications, we then say, yes, this person is in our needs. Yes, this person falls under our mission. Yes, this person hits all the requirements. but no, we can't fund it right now because there isn't money in the account. Or yes, there's money in the account, perfect, we subcontract the work out, the work then goes directly to a subcontractor, that child is then notified, and then they receive their grant. It's a great way to work together as a committee. It's a great way for us as K2 Adventures Foundation to see what's happening with our money and how it's going to the goods that we have hopefully provided. We had a wonderful meeting with our controller last week, and one of the great things we found out was in the last 3 years that K2 Adventures Foundation has been in existence, we have given back over $400,000 worth of grants and awards. 3 years, $400,000. Think of the lives that we've changed in such a short time. Think about the lives we can change with more time and more money. So that's what's really important to us. And then we do have a little bit of a travel component that goes along with our work that we do. We're not going to focus on this a lot, but we want to explain it so you guys understand it. When we travel and we go to Nepal and Peru and Tanzania, we make sure that we bring ourselves to a community-based organization that has disability. So we work at an orphanage in Tanzania. The orphanage in Peru is a little different. All of the kids, there's about 80 of them, and they are severely disabled. Those kids range from cerebral palsy to muscular dystrophy across the board. And we like to bring goods and services to them: toys, braille writers, canes, magnifiers, wheelchairs, diapers, clothing. Those things are great, and they're super for the kids because they get to have some more opportunity. And then now, where we're in Nepal, what we're doing is building our next program, which is going to be working with this organization called HAMWA. And HAMWA is working with kids and individuals. Their parents had either passed away from a climbing accident, or they have lost a limb because of a climbing accident, and something has happened where they can't provide for their kids anymore. Those kids now are growing up in a situation where their disability might not be as obvious as what a disability would be to someone else, but their disability is needing some care, love, concern, medical care, dental care, the things that now their parents can't provide for them because their parents have been in a very bad situation. So that's our international travel, to kind of tie that in. And that brings us right into this wonderful young man, Kyle Maynard. We show this picture for a number of reasons. One, you'll notice immediately Kyle has no arms and no legs. Kyle was born this way. He is considered a quad amputee. He was born without his limbs, and for years Kyle has been going to doctors and to specialists, and he's been telling them, I want shoes and I want something for my hands. And the doctors have said to him, you don't need them, you're in a wheelchair. And his comment was, I don't want to be in a wheelchair. I want to climb mountains. And this is where Kevin and I come in. We built custom orthotics through K2 Adventures Foundation, adaptive equipment for a young man who wanted to climb mountains. Kevin is going to tell you a little bit about Kyle's climb, because this is going to captivate you.
Yeah, when Kyle first approached us and he told us that people weren't going to make the orthotics for him, or they wanted to have him use, extensions to his arm and legs, we said that's not the way to go. So we went to an organization that built orthotics, and we, in several different trial and fittings for Kyle to put these on. After they fit just right, we went on to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. And of course he had to do it a little bit differently than most of our clients, but we came up with a great game plan, and it really helped him. And this achievement went on and said a lot of things for people around the world about not giving up, and if you have a dream that you want to fulfill, you're able to do that if you're surrounded by the right people and they help you do that. And when we provided these for him and he went on to climb and was very successful, a lot of people in the disabled world reached out to Kyle and wanted to find out how he got those orthotics. What was the company that helped you? And it had a little trickle effect for K2 Adventures Foundation. So that's just one example of how we help people achieve a lot bigger goal.
After this historic climb, Kyle actually went on to be the first winner of an ESPY award for the best disabled athlete for climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. So we were pretty excited about that. Our future goals, again, this is where you guys come in. So we're trying to make it so that you guys see how much you tie into everything we're doing and how important and instrumental you can be in our growth. When you look at our future goals, to apply for and receive grants that support our mission, that's so important for us. The more money that we can receive, or the more support we can get from around the world, the more money we'll have in the bank so that we can provide these individuals with the grants that we know that will change their lives. Increase our exposure of the K2AF name and our mission. We're pretty well known in Arizona. People are getting a good handle on us. They hear about us, they see us, they know our name. We want to be all over. We don't want to be just in Arizona. We've helped a lot in the United States. We've been to New Jersey, we've been to California, we've been to Colorado, but we want to go bigger. We want people to know our name, and we want them to be sending in applications to us because we want to keep making people happy. And then expand our program both nationally and internationally. That's why we're in Nepal right now, and we're not standing in front of you guys personally. We're expanding, and we want to continue expanding because disability isn't going to go away, but it's definitely going to get a lot easier with our help. Which takes us into the next slide, which is what it would mean to reach our goals. To never have to turn a deserving applicant away because of inadequate funds. That's so important to us. As a grant committee, when we sit down and we meet and we look at these applications, everyone's deserving. No one wants to live with a disability. No one wants to be turned away. And to get sent through the hoops over and over again, it's disheartening. And they don't know how great it would be for us to just always say, yes, we can fund it. Yes, we can fund it. Yes, we can fund it. It's very rare we're ever in a situation where we say, this person doesn't deserve it. 99% of the time, they deserve it. We just have to be able to fund it. In 5 years, we want to provide sustainable medical and dental care to all students at our partner schools in Peru, Tanzania, and Nepal. Very important, medical and dental care. Something that is probably one of the top priorities. We completely take for granted here in the United States. We get medical and dental care at our disposal. In all of these countries, they don't. That's something that can really change their lives. Support the development and building of a secondary school medical center modeled after the primary school medical center we have in place in Tanzania. What that means is this. Right now, we are working at the Mawerni Integrated School for the Blind. We've built a freestanding medical clinic. We've provided a freestanding dental clinic. We provide medical care and dental care to 74 individuals that have been orphaned or abandoned. Those kids hit 8th grade, and now you're blind, you're an albino, you have ectoderma pigmentosa, you live in Tanzania where you're considered cursed to be born with these different types of ailments, and now you have to go out of 8th grade and into another school. Where do you go? There is no secondary school for these kids. So what happens is these kids end up staying at the primary school because they're safe, but their education at that point doesn't get to succeed. They don't get to succeed. They don't get to move on. So what we would like to do is work with some different organizations in Tanzania where we can build a secondary school that will actually take the kids that leave our school, the 74 orphans, and then have a place for them to go. Very, very important. And then to sustain a 20% yearly growth rate, both financially and with volunteers. Our volunteers are the most important thing for us. Obviously, some volunteers can provide financial support, some volunteers can provide work ethic. We love both. We can use both, we enjoy both, and we need both. So for us, this is a great growth for us. Our board support. We have the greatest board, and I'm not just saying that, it is truly the greatest board. Kevin and I both sit on our board together. We are the president and vice president of the nonprofit. And then along with us as executives, we have a secretary, a treasurer, and a controller. All of them, fabulous support. We go on to our general board, 17 additional board members. That's a 22-person board, in addition to 5 junior board members younger than the age of 18. Something very important to Kevin and to me when we started K2 Adventures Foundation was that family support. You have to include your kids. When you're working in the nonprofit world, it's hard when you're always saying, well, I can't go to this meeting because I have my kids. Well, bring your kids with you then. I can't go to this type of an event because I don't have a babysitter for my kids. Well, then we'll make our events conducive to kids being able to come. They can sell raffle tickets. They could work in the silent auction. They can be out there doing errands while we're out hosting the event and making the money, hopefully, to go back to the communities. have the kids travel with you. So that was something important to us. So our board and our board support is very, very powerful.
It's a very good working board. Everyone has a role, everyone is on a committee. We have chairs of those committees, so it's a great working board.
That takes us into our board requirements. Anyone could sit on a board, which is great because people get asked to sit on boards all the time. But what does it mean to sit on a board? For us, when we started K2, it was really important for us that our board had a buy-in to what we were doing. And a buy-in meaning they had to participate on a subcommittee. We have 5 different subcommittees. One is the application and grant subcommittee, one is the marketing committee, and so on. Things that pique your interest within a board to give you some opportunities to work with other individuals on your board. Attend 4 board mandatory meetings per year, easy. Easy to go to 4 board meetings a year. Attend 2 annual events. That's our Summer in the City event, that's our Boots and Bling event. They have to come, they have to fill a table, they have to be out there spreading the word of K2. And then $500 in annual dues. Those dues go directly into administration costs, which is great because it helps us offset some of our costs. We do have attorney's fees, we do have accountant fees, we do have some administration costs that we want to obviously get those paid, and we don't want to take away from the funds that we need to provide back to the applications and grants. And then to build the community relationships and just to be out talking about K2, believing in K2, knowing that what we're doing is truly changing the lives of a lot of people. Right now, we're looking at about 60% of the money is staying in the United States and about 40% of the money is going international. We do want to continue to grow at that type of a rate. We do want to try to keep most of the money here in the United States if possible, but we'll never ever turn any of the applications away if the money is there for the international programs as well. In this next slide, these are just a couple examples of some of the people that we've helped. If you look right here, this is a little boy from Tanzania who had lost a limb. And in Africa, when you lose a limb, it is really considered to be kind of a curse because you'll never work in Africa if you've lost a limb. Well, Kevin on this climb walked up to this little boy who was with his dad, and he told him, if you ever want to work and you want to be a part of one of our teams, you could work for us anytime. This to us is not a disability. This is an opportunity. This is a wheelchair that we provided to a little boy in Peru. This little boy we noticed here about 3 years ago when we were in Peru. He has a severe case of cerebral palsy, and he really and truly did not get off the floor very often because he was very heavy. He was about 86 pounds. The teachers had a hard time lifting him. They had a hard time transporting him, so he laid on the floor a lot. We provided this particular wheelchair to this little boy with a 5-point safety harness, and we watched him kick a soccer ball for the first time in his life. This is a little girl in Africa. She has albinism, and she was going through our medical clinic at the time, and she was getting her first medical care that she's ever had. And these are some of the kids from the orphanage in Africa. And this is a little boy up here. His name is Yale, and this is one of our board members, and she is helping her little boy in a fun run that we did together. He has cerebral palsy, and he is an incredible supporter of K2 as well. And then this young man over here, his name is Daryl, and he is on a one-off bike. He's paralyzed from the waist down, and he is powering up to the summit of Mount Kilimanjaro with his arms. So those are a couple of great examples of some of the things that people can do. Regardless of the disability, we believe that you can do whatever you want to do. It leads us into a couple things. One, you are going to get to see a video of our orphanage, and I know Dr. Petroburgo is going to show you that video. It's about 4 minutes long. It's a wonderful video about our kids in the orphanage. You also have some materials that you're going to be looking at. This is a reference manual for you. If at any time you guys are writing your grants or going to start looking for your grant information, or you need any information that you didn't hear in this presentation today, this is a great reference center for you, and there are quite a few copies at your school. Then each one of you has your very own copy of this brochure. This brochure also is a very detailed account of K2 Adventures Foundation and K2 Adventure Travel and the things that we're doing around the country and around the world. Please take a look at this. This is great reading material, and it's great for when you're out looking for those grant applications. And then the last thing that we're going to talk about is just questions. How does the organization market itself? Some of the things that we're doing right now with K2 Adventures Foundation is we're working with a marketing company called Off Madison, and that company is actually putting together the most phenomenal website and the best display of pictures, capturing all the different ideas, working with the grant applications, making it very easy for a person that wants to be a part of K2 to get involved. We also market ourselves all around the community by being in different places at different times, by sponsoring different activities, by contributing to different things that would make great awareness for our name, and obviously with the disability community. We try to go to a lot of conferences, and we try to supply as many individuals with our information as possible.
And we also try to partner with other nonprofits and do events for them, so it's kind of like a win-win for both organizations. So we are involved in helping other nonprofits as well.
And thank you. This goes along with that, actually. So who are the primary groups the organization needs to market itself to?
Definitely the disability community. And disability, again, comes in all shapes and sizes. We've worked with the Phoenix Children's Hospital, and we've done work in their Camp Rainbow program, which is for a group of kids that would not necessarily be able to do some of the activities they'd want to do because the funding wasn't there for an outdoor camp experience. That was something we supplied 30 kids the opportunity to go to that camp and to be with other kids that were also dealing with cancer at the time. Working with Whispering Hope Ranch Foundation, with Animals and Kids that are both disabled, bringing in different partnering organizations. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you. Also, who would you think would be and what would be your main competitors out there?
I don't know that we really have any competitors. We really don't compete with anyone. We try really hard to partner with other organizations and work with organizations. I'd say that we're not really competitive by any means. I would say a lot of people have applied to other nonprofits and they haven't received the grants or the funding they've needed. And we try to be sort of that middleman that could maybe meet that grant or that application that somebody else might not be able to fund.
You spoke about the young man, Kyle. Could you tell us, has he been able to give you or share his any data that might be helpful to the organization that addresses the long-term impacts of what he has on him, you know?
Absolutely. Kyle, actually, before this climb, Kyle had only met Kevin and me for a period of about a week. And during that week that we met him, Kyle told us how many times he had been turned away, how many people wouldn't even talk to him, and how many people just said, oh yeah, disability, sorry, this isn't something we could take on. Liability was a big thing that he said over and over again. Nobody wanted the liability of working with him. And Kevin and I said, well, we don't look at you as a liability, so we're gonna help, and we'll do whatever we can to get you what you want. After that historic climb, Kyle became one of our board members. He actually now is one of our K2 Adventures Foundation board members. He actually speaks all over the world, and during his speaking engagements, Kyle talks about K2 Adventures Foundation. And in the process last year, Merrill Lynch actually gave us a $20,000 grant because of Kyle, that they said this is 100% because of Kyle, and we want it to go to your foundation to help others. Kyle tells us all the time how much this has changed his life. So we've been honored to be with Kyle and meet Kyle and do the work that we've done with him.
Kyle's just a great example of our entire process of K2 Adventures Foundation. Someone seeking us out, having a need, receiving that need, and then going on and doing something really amazing with it. But then the follow-up from that is having an impact on other people with a disability around the world and how he can impact them. So it's a very inspiring story. We're proud to be a part of it. But again, it's just a great story from start to finish on how our process with K2 Adventures Foundation truly works.
Thank you for picking our nonprofit in order to serve us and to help us and to set us up for some great opportunities, we hope.
Yeah, and if you have any questions after October 19th for Kristen and I, here's our information. Please feel free to call or email us with any questions you may have. And again, thank you guys so much.
And especially thank you to Dr. Petra Berger for allowing us to be in your classroom today.